So this video is a part of the two-part series about the mitochondria. In this video I'm going to talk about the morphology and the subcellular location of mitochondria, and then in my next video I'm going to talk furthermore about the functions of mitochondria and some specific theories regarding mitochondria. So the next video is even more important than this video, right? Because then we're going to talk about the function. So what we already know is that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell making ATP. It is the powerhouse for both animal and plant cells. Under cellular respiration, it will make ATP for all the cell's activities. And so we can also assume that cells that require more energy also have more mitochondria. Likewise or similarly, cells that require less energy, less ATP, also have less mitochondria. And therefore, I want you to understand that some cells contain a high number of mitochondria, okay? And cells that require more energy typically have more mitochondria, and examples of these which you guys need to remember are muscle cells, which is the first one. So skeletal muscle cells contain a large number of mitochondria since they require a lot of energy for contraction and movement. So muscle cells is number one. Number two is cardiac muscle cells, so cells in the heart muscle, also called cardiomyocytes, which have a high density of mitochondria to support continuous contraction of the heart. So the second one is cardiac muscle cells. Then we also have liver cells, right? Because liver cells have various metabolic processes, including detoxification, glycogen storage, synthesis of proteins and lipids. And then also neurons. Of course, neurons have a little bit less than, for example, muscle cells, but they also contain a lot of mitochondria because they require a lot of energy. And kidney cells also, because it has a lot to do with filtration and reabsorption, and this requires a lot of energy and therefore also mitochondria. So just remember these things: muscle cells, cardiac muscle cells, liver cells, neurons, and kidney cells. So these are the five main ones that require lots of energy for the cellular activities, therefore also a lot of mitochondria. Now, generally speaking, a normal cell contains about 1,000 to 2,500 mitochondria. But it's also important to notice that mitochondria degrades all the time, and all the time gets replaced, right? For example, the half-time for mitochondria in liver cells is approximately 6 days, right? So half of the mitochondria will kind of go away in 6 days and get degraded or replaced, right? Therefore, it is necessary to know that most cells always keep on making mitochondria, okay? And how do we create mitochondria? Well, it happens by fusion of already existing mitochondria. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about the structure of mitochondria. Here you see TIM, you see transmission electron micrograph, and as you guys notice, mitochondria here looks a bit different than here and here and here and here and here. Okay, so the structure of mitochondria varies a bit. Sometimes you can see that the shape of mitochondria is kind of a round form, and sometimes a more elongated form. Okay, so here we have a mitochondria. This is the structure of mitochondria. It does have a phospholipid bilayer. It has this outer membrane, inner membrane, intermembrane space. So let's go over these things inside this organelle. So the outer membrane is very permeable for many things. So it has pores, things can go in and outside the cell, the organelle. Then we have the inner membrane, which is this one right here, which is much less permeable. And between the outer membrane and inner membrane, we have the intermembrane space. The intermembrane space is rich with fluids and protons, and this is very concentrated with proton ions, which is very helpful for the electron transport chain, which I'll talk about in my next video. And then with the inner membrane space here, you see a type of invagination called cristae or crista, and the purpose of this is to increase the surface area for metabolic reactions. Then we also have matrix. The matrix contains fluids and solutes. It has mitochondrial DNA, which is maternal DNA coming from the mother, which of course contains genes to make RNA and proteins. Also, we have ribosomes inside the matrix here. Now again, here you see transmission electron micrographs of mitochondria. Now of course here, let's look at to the left here. You see loads of mitochondria. This is all mitochondria. So this probably indicates, as I told you guys, either muscle cells, heart cells, or something like that. In fact, this is cardiac muscle cells from rats with loads of mitochondria. Now here to the right, we see electron microscopy findings of the patient's cardiac muscle biopsy specimen. And here we see abnormally developed cristae, which were observed here. So this could mean that, something is wrong with these mitochondria, okay? Now, what functional significance can the close relationship between the mitochondria and the kidney cells cell membrane is thought to have? Here we see electron microscopic image from the basal part of proximal renal tubule cell, and we need to solve these two questions. So, and also in individual mitochondria, no or very indistinct cristae are seen. What could be the explanation of this? So here we see almost like very not detailed cristae. So first, the lack of cristae could be attributed to a bunch of things, right? It could be attributed to the health of mitochondria, for example, if they have been deprived of nutrients. It could be if the preparation of the samples were done horribly. It could be attributed to the sectioning of the specimen, and most likely it is due to that, the sectioning of the specimen. If you ever see transmission electron micrographs, which are kind of where we don't see cristae on mitochondria, most likely it's due to the sectioning of the specimen. Okay. Now, why do we see so many cristae, so many mitochondria here? Well, of course, it indicates that we have to do with a cell that contains a lot of, which needs to do a lot of cellular activity. And in fact, here we see this kidney cell, right? And kidney cells require lots of energy. Therefore, we need a ton of mitochondria to deliver energy to the kidneys. And it is due to, as I said, for example, reabsorption, right? So we see a bunch of mitochondria in kidney cells due to that.